Henry Cavill. Enough said. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Jane Theory. Today we discuss The Witcher. The Witcher is a Netflix original series. It stars Henry Cavill as Geralt, a solitary monster hunter in a world where humans often prove more monstrous than the beasts they pay him to kill. The show is an adaptation of a series of books and games, but clearly more strongly rooted in the books. Obviously, the show has to take some liberties due to time and budget constraints, but it's always important to me that if you're going to go about adapting a work so well loved, that the look and feel and flow and iconic scenes must remain. And here, you can tell that considerable thought and attention to detail has been given to costume design and cinematography, writing, and the choreography of not only the fights, which are outstanding, but also how the characters move in each scene and interact with one another and the environment around them. You can really sense that the folks working on this project wanted to remain as faithful as possible to the source material, and that's something that fans, I think, will definitely appreciate. That said, no show is without criticism, and in this case, criticism has mainly come in the form of structure and casting complaints. The story takes place over the course of several converging timelines or reoccurring flashbacks. Think HBO's Westworld. Like Westworld, this can make the show a bit disorienting at first, especially to those unfamiliar with the story, and especially as the narrative begins to align in the last few episodes. So if you're new to the Witcher universe with no knowledge of the books or the games, then go ahead and watch it more than once. It will start to make sense, and it's definitely worth it. While they could have done it differently, the way the story is structured on the show actually makes it more fun to watch and far more interesting to rewatch. When it comes to casting, The Witcher took some early heat because the characters are so otherworldly. I mean, few actors could measure up to expectations of all people. And people also tend to forget that Henry Cavill was not particularly desired for his role or his early appearance. Since then, he's become unquestionably the perfect Geralt, not only in terms of looks, but he's been praised for his ability to adopt characteristics that define and fully embody the character. Female leads, well, they still face some criticism for how they were cast. Yennefer is portrayed by Anya Chalotra, Ciri is portrayed by Freya Allan, and Triss is portrayed by Anya Shaffer. Each one has and continues to be criticized for not quite looking the part. In Triss's case, for example, she apparently has some non-European ancestry that is throwing people off. I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be. I mean, she's clearly more European than not. She has fair skin and freckles and chestnut hair. She's not terribly different from Book Triss. However, she lacks the bright red hair and porcelain skin that many fans of the games were looking for, and that's led some Triss fans to be a bit disappointed. Well, I do think it's important for book characters to look as close as possible to the original when represented on screen. More important to me is that they retain the same spirit and personality. Consequently, my issue with Triss, to the extent that I have any, has more to do with the fact that she should be a lot younger looking and less mature than she is on the show. In fact, the actress might have been perfect for the role a few years ago. Instead, for some strange reason, she's aged up in the show, and she's also not as playful and flirtatious as the Triss that we know. That could disappoint some fans as well. On a positive note, the casting I looked forward to, besides Geralt himself, was his bard companion Jaskier, portrayed by Joey Batey, and boy is he's exactly what I was hoping for. Now, granted, his attire and really his overall look isn't quite as flamboyant as what you get in the books, or definitely not what you get in the game, but he has the character down to a T in every other respect, and I really love it. I enjoy his character. Now, there have been quite a few comparisons between The Witcher and the Game of Thrones, and it would be remiss of me to conclude this review without delving a little bit into that. I think the comparison between the two is fair. The most obvious is that both stories take place in worlds where humans, non-humans, and magic exist. Both take place in timelines reminiscent of the medieval era, in lands akin to Western Europe. Both focus to some degree on political power and manipulation, conflicts between factions and families, and both take place after humans colonize a new world, displacing the original inhabitants. In The Witcher, this immigration takes place after something called the conjunction of the spheres, when it suggested that we, humans in our actual Earth world, crossed into the world of The Witcher. Related to that is all the commentary on the tribalism of the culture, which you would expect to derive from social hierarchies that would inevitably flow from this type of origin story. Prejudice or racism against elves, for example. And the show does a pretty good job of depicting that. Everything else about the show is simply, well, majestic. As I said before, the costumes are incredibly well done. They have a touch of familiarity, but also that sort of otherworldliness. The cinematography is hands down the best of this media right now. Each scene is so artfully well shot, you can just about sense the sights, sounds, and smells as if you were there. And unlike so many other shows, you also get a real sense of location and distance. I mean, you're never physically lost, despite the time jumps, which is remarkable when you think about it. All in all, I would give The Witcher a solid 9 out of 10. It's no surprise at all to me why fans are so in love with this show. I personally can't wait for season 2 and hopefully more seasons to follow. But let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.